Welcome to Gravitas Studios, Behind the Boarding Pass podcast. When Donald Trump issued a sharp warning about Western nations deepening economic ties with Beijing, much of the European political class rushed to interpret it as another sign of US unilateralism or hostility toward allies. That reading is wrong and dangerously superficial. Trump's message is not about punishing the United Kingdom or the European Union. It is about confronting China's long-term economic and geopolitical strategy, which Trump has consistently identified as the single greatest threat to Western industrial power, national sovereignty, and democratic leverage. That context matters as Keir Starmer landed in Shanghai with more than 50 British business leaders, seeking to deepen trade ties with the world's second-largest economy. Starmer framed the visit as pragmatic realism, arguing that Britain can't stick its head in the sand when it comes to China. But Trump's warning was never about denial. It was about dependency. Trump's consistent position: China is not a neutral partner. Trump's skepticism toward China is not new, impulsive, or selective. From tariffs to supply chain reshoring to technology controls, his worldview is built on one core belief: China uses access to its market as a weapon, not a partnership tool. That is why Trump's comments, while mentioning Britain, quickly pivoted to Canada, whose leadership has also flirted with Beijing while benefiting from US security guarantees. The warning was systemic, not personal. "You can't look at China as the answer," Trump said, and that statement reflects a strategic diagnosis, not a diplomatic insult. In Trump's framework, Western nations that rush into Beijing for short-term economic relief are repeating a decades-old mistake, trading industrial independence and moral leverage for temporary market access, while empowering a rival that does not share their values or their long-term interests. Starmer's reassurances ring hollow in Washington. Starmer insisted that Washington was informed in advance of his trip and emphasized that Trump himself has signaled interest in visiting China. But these points obscure a critical distinction Trump has always made clear. Engagement is not endorsement. Trump talks to adversaries from a position of leverage. He does not present China as a solution to domestic economic challenges, nor does he encourage Western corporations to outsource strategic industries to Beijing in the name of stability. By contrast, Starmer's emphasis on jobs, wealth creation, and expanded trade risks reinforcing exactly the model Trump has spent years trying to dismantle, one where Western economies grow increasingly reliant on Chinese capital, manufacturing, and regulatory goodwill. The Xi meeting and the sanctions question. Starmer's meeting with Xi Jinping and the announcement of a long-term and stable strategic partnership will raise eyebrows far beyond Washington. Particularly sensitive is Beijing's decision to lift travel bans on British lawmakers previously sanctioned over Xinjiang-related human rights concerns. From a Trump-aligned perspective, this development underscores the core problem. China trades access and concessions tactically, not morally. Trump has long argued that Beijing uses selective cooperation to fracture Western unity, weaken collective pressure on human rights, and normalize silence on abuses when economic incentives are offered. Bottom line, Trump is targeting China's strategy, not Britain. Starmer may see engagement as realism. Trump sees it as a vulnerability. Subscribe to Gravitas Studios, Behind the Boarding Pass podcast. Share, like, and drop your comments. Your voice is part of the journey.